This is a 30-day guided journal to quit cannabis. If you don't want to buy it on Amazon, get some pen and paper. I'm going to go through it as quick as I can. Okay, day one. The goal of this journal is to not only gradually wean ourselves off cannabis, but to also uncover how we reached this point. By untangling this mental mess, we can better prevent falling back into old habits. Let's begin at the root of your journey. Reflect on the first time you got high. What was your experience like? How did it make you feel? Okay, day two. Now it's time to begin the process. During the first week, we will create a plan to gradually decrease our cannabis use each day. The approach will vary depending on your daily intake. For example, if you smoke 3 joints a day, aim to cut it down to 1 joint a day. If you smoke, let's say, 1 joint a day, let's try reducing it to half a joint a day. Let's write a game plan down to help us stay on track. Okay, personal story. At my height, I would smoke about 7 blunts per day. So when I first cut back, it was about 3 blunts per day. So don't try to go from 0 to 100. Let's start at baby steps. Or if you feel like you can, then, do what you do. Okay, day 3. When we first started smoking weed, we likely began as an occasional smoker. Then became a weekend smoker. Then eventually became daily smokers. What started you and brought you to this point? Was it stress? Was it the influence in your social circle? Did it help you sleep? Let's write some reasons why you started smoking and why you continue to smoke today. Have these reasons changed over time, or have they remained the same? Okay, day 4. By day 4, we should have started to make an attempt to cut back our daily use. Let's focus on our feelings before and after we smoke, leading up to our next smoke session. Do we find it hard to wait? Are we terribly anxious? Are we stressed out? Or do we feel normal? There is no correct answer, but we should rather focus on emotions before and after we smoke. Day 5. Most cannabis users start as social smokers and turn into private smokers. Media always show a cliche stoner with the long hair that wears the Mary Jane t-shirt, but that person isn't the norm. It is pretty immature to wear cannabis on their sleeve and brag about it, and most people grow out of that phase. Many users learn to keep it private. While that may seem like the best route, keeping your addiction private allows others to not see it, so most people are unaware of your usage. By doing that, you kind of convince yourself that you don't have a problem. So use this section to be honest with yourself. Let yourself know you are aware of your problem despite what others don't see. Okay, day 6. How many people are affected by your addiction? Again, due to cannabis not being considered a hard drug, we may think it does not affect those around us. Maybe it only affects one person or affects others indirectly. Take a deep inventory of people in your life and think about who it affects, even by the slightest. Okay, personal story. My wife actually never told me to stop smoking, but I, in turn, still started to hide my usage from her. So, in turn, I kind of created a whole other set of issues regarding trust. So, don't do that to yourself. Okay, it's day 7. You made it through week 1. Have you noticed any changes? Have you cut down this week? How do you feel? How are you handling your emotions? How does your body feel? Take some time to think about it and put pen to paper. Okay, it's day 8. On week 2, we will start this week off by cutting back some more. Last week, you maybe cut down your intake in a day. But this week, we will try to cut out some days completely. Try to smoke every other day or choose 2 or 3 days you will not smoke or vape altogether. It may seem tough in the beginning and the days may seem long, but it does get easier with time. Write down a plan. Okay, it's day 9, and you may be experiencing some sleep issues. Sometimes we can become sleep dependent on cannabis. The idea of sleeping on your own may seem foreign. If that is the case, we must break that. Although sleeping on your own may seem difficult at first, you can quickly reset your body after a couple of weeks. Sleep should be a natural thing, and if you are finding it hard to go to sleep and stay asleep, there may be deeper issues than your dependence on marijuana. If you are finding issues with going to sleep and staying asleep, let's write down some things below that may actually be keeping us from going asleep. Is it stress? Is it worry? Is it anxiousness? Is it overstimulation? There is always a root cause to sleep issues, whether it's mental or physical. Okay, it's day 10. How are you dealing with your appetite? Cannabis and eating start to go hand in hand the longer you use. Many times we may feel like if we quit smoking, we will not enjoy food as much. If this is you, that is a big problem. Food is the main source that should be going into our bodies, and we don't want another source to dictate that. The good thing is, after about 1 or 2 weeks, you should gain your natural appetite back. Remember, you do have to eat, just like sleep. So maybe we should look at this as a reset on our diet as well. I'm sure that you crave some not good foods when you're high. So let's retrain our palate. How do you want a cleaner diet? Let's write down some diet goals we want to achieve in the future. Maybe it would do us some good to research some whole food diets. Okay, it's day 11. How is your mood? This is one of the biggest withdrawal symptoms that cannabis users go through. You may feel tense, anxious, angry, or all of the above. This is really all in your head. The truth is that we must learn how to control our emotions in our sober state. Although cannabis can widen your view on a particular situation, it cannot teach us how to deal with our emotions and the emotions of others. If so, we need to look at our internal reasons why. Good thing to know that this is not a marijuana problem, but it is a you problem. We may take a couple of days to unpack this since it can be a subject all in itself. So let's write down some things you find it hard to deal with, whether it's work, family, school, friends, relationships, anything. Let's get them all out on paper. Okay, it's day 12. Let's take a moment to acknowledge our emotions and let's focus on strategies to manage them. If interactions with family and friends are challenging, like mine, we should concentrate on how we interpret their words and how we respond. If work is the source of our stress, we need to identify the underlying causes of these feelings. Once we understand the root cause, we can brainstorm on ways to address them immediately. Personal tip: learn to be proactive before you actually get stressed out. Okay, it's day 13. Let's begin reflecting on our goals you want to pursue in life. Consider if cannabis might be hindering you from that progress. We'll revisit this later this month, but for now, take some time to write down things you would like to achieve, whether they are personal, professional, financial, or otherwise, in both the near and distant future. Okay, it's day 14. We're at the end of week 2. How do you feel? Are you holding up? Is it easier than you expected or harder? Get your thoughts out on paper. Okay, it's day 15. We are at the halfway mark. And at the start of week 3, this week, let's work on cutting down our days a bit more. It's scary. This may be different for everyone, but let's smoke or vape a little less than last week. You can even cut back altogether if you feel like you are ready. Okay, tip: on days that you are not smoking, try to occupy your time with something new, a hobby, exercise, gardening, whatever you like, etc. Okay, day 16. How much do you spend on cannabis in a day, in a week, in a month, in a year? The cost might surprise you. Calculate your yearly cost and think about something else to apply those funds to. Day 17. Let's try some replacement therapy. Think of some things you may want to replace with cannabis, whether it's a new diet change, a new business venture, a hobby you always wanted to pursue. Let's embrace a new lifestyle with something fulfilling. Don't look at this like you're losing something, but rather gaining something better. What things do you want to try out in the near future? Day 18. If you have a hard time sticking to change, I will look at your spiritual foundation. I am not here to claim what beliefs you should subscribe to, but if you have a hard time sticking to something, you may lack a spiritual foundation. Take some time to introspect your spiritual journey and to see if that may be affecting your progress in life. Day 19. Cannabis tolerance has both its advantages and drawbacks. The more you use it, the higher your tolerance becomes, but when you cut back, your tolerance can readjust. You might find the effects becoming more potent. For example, if you reduce your consumption from 5 joints a day to 1, after a week or 2, you may start feeling those effects more quickly from that 1 joint. You may feel good about cutting back and say, I did a great job. However, it's important not to stay at that level for too long. With prolonged use, you can become numb to those effects unless you increase your dose. So by gradually cutting back, you might experience highs you felt in your early days of smoking, which can either make you fall in love all over again or become hyper aware of its effects. Being hyper aware can be very beneficial as it allows you to understand how the drugs impact your mind and actions. How have you felt while you have cut back? Okay, it's day 20. Are there people in your life who influence you? The journey can seem challenging for those around you that, still smoke weed. If they are close family and friends, I would not suggest detaching from them, but you might want to limit your time around them if you feel like they influence your decisions. The goal isn't to end relationships, but to change yourself. If your connection is based on more than just cannabis, do not end your relationships. Ideally, you want to reach a point where you can be around them and still have the power to not partake. Reflect on the people in your life and how they influence your usage. Okay, personal story. Okay, my mom still smokes weed, so I could not detach from her, but I did eliminate that part of our relationship. Okay, it is day 21, the end of week 3, so let's reflect and get ready for our last week. Let's jot down some things we may have learned or we probably want to focus on. Okay, day 22. One of the main issues of getting high on a regular basis is it manipulates our reward response. If we smoke, we achieve the high, and it's over. When we do this consistently, it throws off our reward stimulus. Everything good in our life should come with work. It makes the reward more fulfilling. Getting high can be similar to porn as it also gives us this immediate reward with little to no work and an immediate come down. As mentioned earlier, we should replace cannabis with something that takes more work to get the reward. The process of working to achieve something for reward creates better character. Let's depend less on an immediate reward and learn how to put work in more fulfilling things. Let's reflect back on what we can replace cannabis with in our lives. Okay, it's day 23. As we near the end of our 30-day process, let's take some time to reflect on what we have learned about ourselves. If you are still unsure about quitting, try making a list of pros and cons, compare the number of items on each list, and consider which ones are more significant to you. Okay, it's day 24, and by the 4th week, we should focus on either cutting down to once a week or completely cutting out altogether. If you feel like you can do this without going back, I would make a final smoke date. Cannabis is not a bad plant, but your addiction to it can be bad. We should not leave this experience demonizing the drug, but rather changing ourselves. Have a final goodbye with Mary and end things on good terms. Decide a date in the next few days to get rid of your final stash. Okay, day 25. How are you processing your feelings at this point? Have they improved from the first week? Write down your progress and let yourself know what areas you want to work on. Okay, it's day 26. Don't fall back into the trap of dropping a bad habit for another bad habit. It's okay to replace a habit with something productive and positive, but don't go to another vice such as cigarettes, drinking, vaping, CBD, etc. Have you noticed any desire to pick up another habit? If you feel that you have, what steps would you take to not go down that similar road? Take this day to meditate on that and learn how to be more cognitive on your choices. Okay, it's day 27. Focus on some of the benefits you have noticed since cutting back. Is your memory better? Does it feel good not having to mask the odor? Has your appetite gone back to semi-normal? Do you have less idle thoughts? Write down some of your benefits that you have noticed. One of my first benefits I did notice was I could go somewhere and I did not smell like weed. Okay, it's day 28. Have you considered getting an accountability partner? If you find it challenging to stay committed on your own, bring a partner in that might help you overcome your hurdles. While you may not want to let yourself down, having an agreement with someone else adds the motivation to not let them down either. Write down what you would say to them to invite them in on your journey to help you stay accountable. Okay, it's day 29. Okay, 30 days is almost up. Have you noticed any positive changes in your life? Let's focus on the good things you have noticed about your progress. Do not focus on the negative, but what good things have come out of this journey. This may seem repetitive, but reaffirming ourselves will help us stay on the correct path. Although we should not become stagnant in our own progress, we should recognize our growth. What growth have you noticed? Okay, it's day 30, so take this day to get anything off your chest. If you tried it and you were unsuccessful, don't worry, it's normal. It took me a few times to actually quit. You can start this process over at any given time. Start back over to day one and realize what mistakes you made so you can not make those previous mistakes and probably move further along in the process. Again, this was brief. If you need help, if you want this on paper, go to Amazon to get the 30-day guided journal to quit cannabis, and your future self may thank you. Peace.